What's going on, everybody? I'm Caleb Ocho, also known as NFL Caleb 22, and this is Ben the NFL Week number 2. And I do not have my co-host with me, Derek Wesley, also known as DWeezy. Um, Hopefully, we will have him back next week. But as far as this show goes, I will be going solo for tonight. But that's okay. We still have uh, to go over all my bets of the week. So I guess you're just gonna have to take my opinion, um, and see if you can go win some money. Because like I did last weekend, I won big, won money on a 10-team parlay. Very hard to do, on a teaser, no less. So yeah, it was a good time. I also had a winning week on my bets on my 5 best bets of the weekend. I went 3-2. Had a great week. It was just a great weekend of football for me. A great weekend of betting for me, and that's what I'm going to do again this week. I'm going to win again in week 2. I'm going to win you guys some money in week 2. But before we do that, we got to go look back and what happened in week 1, because that's how we win. That's how we get better as betters. We have to look back at the history and see what happened, and that makes us and see what mistakes, the trends that would happen, what mistakes we made, and that's how we get better. I would say, "What's up to my dad? What's going on?" All right, and we'll get into week 1 and straight up. The home teams went 11-5, but against the spread, they went 9-7. The favorites, big weekend of favorites. They went 13-3. We're 9-7 against the spread, so not that's great, but they did it straight up. If you just pick straight up favorites, you won a lot of money. You were very profitable this weekend if you just picked the favorites on the money line. You won big. Um, and then the over and unders, a lot of overs hit, which is surprising considering there wasn't great quarterback play this weekend. Yet a lot of overs hit, and that's very surprising considering last year we saw a lot of the unders were hitting early in the year, like at an astronomical level of unders. But I guess they kind of anticipated this year. I think they factored the odds makers factored that in this year early in the season. They didn't think there was going to be a lot of points scored, so they probably lowered the total scores, and that's probably why a lot of overs hit. Just because the win totals were so low, and I think the odds makers were smart to make that adjustment. I think a lot of people were probably looking for a lot of unders to hit, because we saw the quarterbacks not throwing very many yards. It's kind of a lot of offenses struggled, but then there was some games like a Rams Lions or a Packers Eagles type games that did have a lot of points scored in them, and I guess that's what factored in there. But the biggest winners were the home favorites. They went 11-3 straight up and 8-6 against the spread. So a lot of home favorites won. But like I said, my own record, I went 3-2, had a winning week. So if you took my bets, you were profitable this weekend. Um, my best pick was, of course, it was my Dallas Cowboys +2 against at Cleveland against the Browns. They win it 33-17. I just knew it was going to be tough to score against our defense. I mean, especially when your quarterback is Deshaun Watson, who basically looks like he does not want to be out there on the field. He definitely didn't want to be out on the field on this past Sunday, because we were just getting after him. Just tons of pass rush. Michael Parsons was getting after him. Marcus Lawrence, everybody on our D line was eating. Um, yeah, it was great to see for me, considering I'm a fan and I bet on my team. And yeah, I pretty much said this on last week's show. I mean, I said it was going to be tough to score, and it was very much a problem on offense for them. And I said we would get one play if we just got one play, that was a couple big plays that would be different, and it did not have to be on. It did not have to be on offense, and we got the big play on the special teams. We scored a punt return for a touchdown, and that was a big difference in the game. And yeah, and just having the best kicker in the league led to all those field goals that we made and kind of ran up the score. But it was tough for our offense. It was tough for the offense to score, and I thought it was going to be both offenses were going to struggle a little bit. Um, we definitely struggled in the second half. When the first half was, we were putting it on them. And then we kind of slowed up because we got up by so much in the second half. And they scored their one late touchdown. But overall, I just knew it. I knew we were just better. We had more playmakers in the Browns, and it was just bound to happen that we were going to win. So I had so much. I mean, you're going to give the Cowboys points. So a team that's just really great against the spread in the regular season. Yeah, you're going to take those points all day. And if you listen to me, you would have won money on that game. My worst pick was picking, yes, it was Ferris's New York Giants. Horrible pick for me. I thought their defense was legit. I thought, their front seven with the guys that they brought in was going to be enough. I thought that would be enough to get him that win alone, just because I thought Sam Darnold would play a lot worse, considering the defense he was playing against. But the defense didn't show up. I mean, that's just what it is. Giants did nothing to stop Sam Darnold. They did nothing to make him uncomfortable because he went like 12 for 12. And just, of course, we all knew the Giants secondary was bad. It's a terrible secondary, but I didn't think he would have the time to get off the ball. And of course, the Giants defense gave him the time to do that. So he was able to shred that awful, disgusting secondary that the Giants have. And yeah, I was betting on Sam Darnold not having a good game, playing worse than Daniel Jones. And there's just no playing worse than Daniel Jones. He was absolutely terrible. And we'll say what's up to Jay. Yes, exactly. That's exactly my point, Jay. Lawrence, Burns, Thibodeau, they just didn't show up. I don't know how you just have all these guys and they just don't show up in this game. I mean, you're only playing Sam Darnold. You can go after him and make him make force mistakes, and you did none of that. You did nothing to stop him. And that, I mean, I thought that was going to happen. I mean, you see what they have on paper, and you think that's going to happen. It just doesn't. And that's what I was betting on happen, and I was wrong. So that was probably my worst pick of the weekend. But overall, still a good weekend. I had a win week 3-2, and we're gonna have another winning week going into week number 2. Um, but before I get into my 5 best bets of the weekend, if you guys can subscribe to the channel, if you guys can like this video, and if you really want to support us, you can join our Patreon. The link is in the description down below. So yeah, I just appreciate you guys all for watching, all for tuning in. But yeah, we're about to make some money right now because I will get into my 5 best bets of the weekend. And you know what? I will start off with the Buccaneers +7 at the Detroit Lions. Yes, I know what I said last season. I said I learned my lesson. I'm betting on Baker Mayfield because he would always burn me every time I did bet on him. But that was last season. This is this season, and gonna I'm gonna bet on him again. Coming off of 4 touchdown, uh, 4 touchdown passes for him, where they pretty much rolled the Commanders. The Lions had a tough back and forth battle with the Rams. They win in overtime. They get the win there. But the last time the Buccaneers and Lions they played in the playoffs, we all saw it. It was a one-score game. Back then, Baker had a bad game. He threw 2 interceptions. But that's why I'm going to bet on him that he doesn't throw those interceptions because I think that was basically the difference in that game. If he takes care of the ball, doesn't turn it over, I think they can keep it closer. I'm not saying they're going to win. But +7, that is a huge point spread. That's just way too many points to give a team that was in the playoffs last year against 2 playoff teams. You're giving one team 7 points. That's just too much for me. I'm going to take the 7 points. That's a whole touchdown and an extra point. So I like getting the points with the Bucks. Yeah, I understand how good the Lions are. That doesn't mean they're I don't think they're good enough to just simply just blow out the Buccaneers or anything like that. Also, the Bucks are 6-2 against the spread in the last 8 games. Getting 7 is just too good for me. So I like Bucks +7 at Detroit. Okay, we'll get into my second pick of the weekend, and that is the LA Rams +1.5 at the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm really surprised. I am very surprised that the Cardinals are favored in this one. I saw some books had the opposite, where they had the Rams favored, but what I was looking, the sports book that I was looking at, they had the Rams as a 1.5 underdog, and that's really great for me because I mean I think the Rams are better, which I understand a little bit considering kind of the toll that game took with the Lions. That overtime game, they played a long game, obviously, and Puka Nakua is out. I think they had off lineman go out. So I understand. I maybe understand why they wouldn't be favored just because how much of what they lost, but the Rams are just still, even with those losses, they're still a better team than the Arizona Cardinals. And I understand the Cardinals had a pretty good game against the Buffalo Bills, another really good playoff team. And they were going back and forth, but they did give a big first half lead that they had on them. And Kyle Murray really couldn't get it to Martin Harrison Jr. And while the Rams, I just think played a better game, almost won against the Lions, but they didn't. They came up short. And the Rams also won 9 straight games at Arizona. 9 straight games. That means they just win when they go to Arizona, and they just know this team real well. Obviously, divisional rivals. Last 10 games, Rams versus Cardinals. Rams are 7-2-1 against the spread. 7-2 in their last 9 games that they played, and Cardinals are 0-8 in their last in all their divisional games last year. They did not win a divisional game, and I don't expect them to win this one. That's why I like the Rams +1.5 at Arizona. All right, we'll get into the third pick of the week, and that is the Texans -6 and they're at home versus the Bears. Going back, if you we're going back to our episodes of our futures betting shows. I was not high on Caleb Williams. I was not high on this Bears team. I wasn't buying into all the talk, all the hype that was going to him. I said I was going to fade the Bears this season. I took the under on the win total, and I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to in for a game. They won? They did win. They did get the win, but he didn't look all that great. But I think, and they only really won because the Titans just pretty much handed to him with a bad Will Levis interception. That their defensive special teams won it for them. I don't think that will be the case here because they're playing a way better quarterback in C.J. Stroud with the Houston Texans, and just way more firepower on offense. Texans coming off one of their more high-scoring games, one of the most high-scoring games of the weekend against the Indianapolis Colts. They gave up a lot of points as well, but that's the thing. The Bears couldn't really score on the Titans. So I don't think that's really going to be an issue for the Texans because I just don't think the Bears can really move the ball because Caleb Williams is just too inaccurate at this point. So I think the Texans probably will win on blowout. Honestly, I think the Bears going to experience is going to experience his first blowout of his career, and I really believe that that -6 is basically nothing for me. I am more than willing to give them 6 points because I think it's going to be a much worse game for them. I think the Texans really take it to them and cover that spread very easily. All right, we'll get my fourth bet of the week, and that is the LA Chargers -6.5 at Carolina. Sorry, Jay. Your team is really, really bad. After that awful, awful performance that the Panthers had versus the Saints, I just don't know how you can really put your money on them. You got to fade them. I mean, you have to fade them. You have to go whoever they're picking. You got to go with the other team. Um, because it just did not look good. It looked that bad. Bryce Young still just doesn't look like he has it. Was way too accurate, making bad decisions, throwing the ball there. Yeah, man. Uh, yeah, you can't even defend it. Yeah, I mean that's why I gotta go the other way. I gotta go the other way. And I gotta put my money on them. Not bet. I gotta put my money that they will um, be just bad because that's what they've been. Um, So there is no way there's no way Bryce Young is going to be prepared for this Chargers defense. I mean, they sacked Minshew 4 times in their game against the Raiders. They held the Raiders to just 10 points. Jim Harbaugh really upgraded that defense pretty well. Um, he did that what he always does. He ran the ball, shoved down the throats, like I thought he would. J.K. Dobbins ran for 135 yards, and yeah, I just don't see the Panthers being able to stop them, as they didn't really do that great of a job versus the Saints. And then just I expect another beatdown coming this weekend for the Panthers. Panthers 5-11 against the spread in the last 16 games. Obviously, they got one of their main guys on IR. It's not looking good for them. Okay, he says, hopefully they will show some type of effort come Sunday. You would hope, but not for me. I hope they don't, because I'm putting my money on the Chargers -6.5, even bigger point spread. In the other game, yeah, picking a lot of favorites. I'm just going with the trend. Like I said, a lot of the favorites hit last weekend. I think that trend continues. I think a lot of the favorites hit this weekend as well, and that's why I'm taking a lot of favorites this weekend. And my picks, just to ride on that trend from last week. But for my fifth and final pick of the week, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars -3 at home versus the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I saw the Cleveland Browns play my Cowboys just this past Sunday. Saw every snap of that game, and I just can't possibly think that Deshaun Watson can ever play good again. Um, After the way he looked. Like I said, I don't think he really wants to be there, and he's just collecting a paycheck at this point, and he's going to go into Jacksonville being the same way, playing the same way, and that offensive line is still a complete mess. I think the Jaguars defense is going to be able to get after him. Um, the Jaguars, they might have won against the Dolphins if they didn't if Travis Etienne doesn't fumble into the end zone like he did. They could have got the win there. So it's still a formidable Jaguars team, and it's just -3. It's not a lot to cover, especially when they're at home. This Browns team, yeah, they got defense. They could stop us in the second half. So that could be some trouble. Like I said, I think it's the same with the Jaguars as with my Cowboys. You just get a couple of plays. They just need a couple big plays, and that'll be the difference in the game, and that'll get them, more than a 3-point win. Doesn't like I said, doesn't have to be all on offense. It can be a special teams play, defensive play, something while that happens that goes in their favor. Just need a couple big plays for them, and that'll be enough because the Browns just can't simply score. They just can't simply score on, I don't think, anybody. So they keep the same type of game plan that the Cowboys did by going away from Miles Garrett, because I think that's the one guy that can disrupt the whole game, unless if you allow him to. We didn't allow him to because we ran a lot of plays away from him, and if they follow that film, they look at film and they go away from Miles Garrett and not allow him to ruin the game for him, to limit his effectiveness, then that'll help them out, and they'll win the game if they can do that. Obviously, the Browns still have Nick Chubb out. The Jaguars have, their rookie receiver Brian Thomas. He can build off his performance of last week, maybe gain some a little more confidence, and that provides another deep threat. Maybe they get a big play out of him. But that's what I'm going to bet on. That's who I like in this game because it's not too many points, only -3. I like a lot of favorites this week. So I'm gonna go heavy on the favorites and the Jaguars against Cleveland Browns. But that is, yeah, it's a shorter show this week without my co-host, without giving my picks, without giving his picks. But hopefully he will be back next week, so you have more picks to go off of, more opinions to go off of. Because we agree a lot. Me and Derek, we agree a lot. We don't always agree. Sometimes we differ because we don't see each other's picks beforehand. So it's always a nice surprise to see what we both got. But like I said, hopefully you guys win some money because you only got me to go. You only got my picks to go out there. You can take my picks or you can leave them. Doesn't matter to me as long as you guys make some money. That is all I care about because that is what the goal of the show is. But yeah, safe betting out there. Only bet what you can afford to lose. But for now, you can find me at NFL Caleb 22 on Instagram and X/Twitter. And you can find me on this channel every Friday at 3 o'clock, doing good friends, better rivals with my co-host Ferris McDonough. We will be talking about that horrible Giants game because we have to because Bears the Giants fans. So I guess we have to talk about that game. But I'll go more in detail about my glorious victory, then my Cowboys victory against them Cleveland Browns. And then we will preview this week's games of who the Giants play. Don't even remember, but also Cowboys versus Saints. So you definitely want to tune in for that because we like to go at each other and it's a lot of fun. Go watch that on Friday. But for now, we will see you next week and give you our go over this week's picks and give you our picks next week of week 3. But like I always say, let's get ready to make that money.